Afternoon. The program we are about to present to you is just sharing of some songs that are scripture-based. They bring peace to me. I have been walking around with a scripture-based songbook for several decades now, and I've tried to find people to sing them. And at some point, if you keep on doing the same thing, you expecting different results, well, there's the definition of lunacy. So I figured, well, why don't I find somebody to play it? And so we thank Marjorie for being at the piano. The second half is going to be Dennis. And you have your programs in your hands. So we're going to start with Oh, How He Loves You and Me. Now, for most, there's a lot of gods in the world. But as far as I know, there's only one that actually pursues us and comes out and says that he loved us. And other ones have to be placated, have to be given offerings for. But this one basically comes out and says, I love you. So there is a song, some of you already know it, and you might be dating yourselves. Oh, how he loves you and me. Jesus to Calvary let go, His love for mankind to show, and what He did there brought hope from despair. Oh, He loves you, oh, how He loves me, oh, how Jesus loves you and me. Well, we titled this, personal journey of redemption, because we all go through the same journey. We are born in this world. We didn't ask to be here. Some people decided that for us, and if it all goes well, they will treat us well and bring us up. And then we have to learn a lot of things that will help us survive. One of those things is something we call object permanence. You know that game, the peekaboo, that you play? Well, in a baby's mind, when they cannot see you, you actually don't exist. So when you play with your baby and you put the blanket up, the baby really thinks you disappeared. You're gone. You don't exist. I don't see you. And then parents know when their children finally develop the ability that even though I don't see you, I know you're there somewhere. I'm going to cry anyway. Somebody's going to come back here because they know, well, it doesn't matter if I don't see you, you're still there. It would be nice if that's the only time we have to learn object permanence, that even when we don't see and even we don't sense the presence of God, that He's still there. The next song is based on scriptures too. Matthew 18, 2-4. It's in your program. And it's called Faith is Like a Child. Now, I don't know how many times you've been around kids. Most of us have. Babies intrinsically trust. They need for their survival. I mean, now, if I'm in a hole and somebody comes to lift me up, and I look at them, I'm going to ask, well, how much can you bench press? How much? Because I need to know if you can pull me out of this. Babies just lift up their arms. They don't care if you have arthritis, if you just hurt your neck. They trust that if you did this, you invite them, they're going to accept. And it's the same thing with us, with God. We need to learn to trust, which is not an easy thing to do. But I hope that with the words of this song, that says, a child, faith is like a child, simple in its spirit, generous and kind, willing to accept what cannot be denied or be defined. And that's all God, that's all Christ asks from us. So another word for faith is just trust. I remember when I was in Florida, I was walking on the street, and then there was this lady. She was proud of her dog, and I decided that I'm going to walk on the street because Fido looks like he's going to protect her. And she goes like, well, no, you're fine. He went to school. He will sit and obey. And I look at the dog and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to trust this dog. He looks like he's in command. He looks that school that he went to. He might have learned something, but the owner didn't. And he's going to do his job. So I walked on the street. Owner was a little bit offended that I didn't trust her. But trust has to be earned. And I'm sorry, I didn't see the way you were walking with your dog, whether you were the alpha leader. So, but God has done so much for us that are in our lives or in other people's life that we can trust. We can lift up our hands when He says, come here. When you take your kid to get vaccinated, after you heard them, they turn around and who do they look for? You. And many times when God takes out our vaccinations, because there are viruses of selfishness, materialism, and when we get our vaccines, we try to turn around and run away. When kids, babies will trust, they'll come back. So with no further ado, let's sing Faith is Like a Child. A child, faith is like a child, simple in his spirit, generous and kind, willing to accept what cannot be denied or be defined. One thing, simple childlike faith and nothing more. That's all Jesus Christ has ever asked us for. Simple childlike faith and nothing more. A child, faith is like a child, innocent and trusting even in its doubt, honest in its search and trying hard to find what God's about. A child, faith is like a child, taking it for granted miracles can be, leaving to believe in things it cannot touch or even see. One thing, simple childlike faith and nothing more. That's all Jesus Christ has ever asked us for. Simple childlike faith and nothing more. Well, I've been in a lot of places. I hate traveling, but I've been in a lot of places. And there's nothing like being and living in a place to understand what those people are about. Before I came to the United States, I thought I spoke English, but I didn't know that things like I'm not comfortable doesn't mean I'm not comfortable. Can I have a pillow? Do you have a sip of water? It means no. And he has his own way. Doesn't mean, well, he built an own way for himself. It means like, that professor is a jerk. So these are not things you learn from just reading about something, but when you live in a place. And the next song, Living with His People, Christ didn't just stand there and pontificate about, how things should be, but he actually came and lived here. He started his life out in a mixed family, was a refugee as a child, grew up in a bad neighborhood, and can understand, no matter what you're going through, what it feels like. In one way, shape, or form, he feels you. So the next song is Living with His People. It's based on Philippians 2:5-11 and Hebrews 2:17-18. Heaven in its beauty, serenity, and peace, sheltered by God's constant love. Everything was perfect, yet He came to earth, brought the love of God down from above. A prophet to His people, a messenger of hope, teaching love and preaching brotherhood. People that He trusted failed to understand, Still he never ceased from doing good. Living with his people, learning how we feel, walking in the other fellow's shoes. Christ gave up a kingdom just to be a man. How can we do anything but choose to love him? Love the Lord. Helping those in trouble, performing miracles, gathering the 12 to leave behind, planning for the future, making heaven ours. He prepared the way for all mankind. Living with the people, learning how we feel, walking in the other fellow's shoes. Christ gave up a kingdom just to be a man. How can we do anything but choose to love him? Love the Lord. Love the Lord. The next one is based on Psalm 23. Now, I don't know about you, but the way I used to understand Psalm 23 is that someday I was going to be one happy fat sheep in very high grass, eating the whole day, burping grass, and just scratching myself, right? Because that's what they seem to promise. Till I heard a sermon about how these shepherds actually worked. You see, if you are an agricultural society, it doesn't make a lot of sense to give the best fertile ground to shepherds. It just don't. It just doesn't. You take the fertile land in the valleys to cultivate crops. And those darn shepherds, they can take their sheep somewhere else. So the shepherd actually had to guide the sheep every day. And when the dew fell on the mountain and on stones, grass would grow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Grass would grow next to the stone. And as a shepherd, then, you need to remember where you took your sheep before so that you can let grass go as you lead them somewhere else. So, as it turns out, that there is not much of a difference between Psalm 23's message and what Christ said, that every day has enough of its own problems and you better trust God for your daily bread. Because as a sheep, you just had to trust that day. So my dreams of being one fat, happy sheep in a very high grass, that's not the reality of Psalm 23. You just had to trust every single day where that shepherd would take you. So you can eat that day. Make sure you don't lose track of the shepherd, because if you don't follow the shepherd the next day, you're going to be one unhappy, hungry sheep. So the next song, the new 23rd, Because the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything that I need. He lets me rest in meadows green and leads me beside the quiet stream. He keeps on giving life to me and helps me to do what honors him the most. Even when walking through the dark valley of death, I will never be afraid, for he is close beside me, guarding, guiding all the way. He spreads a feast before me in the presence of my enemies. He welcomes me as a special guest with blessing overflowing. His goodness and unfailing kindness shall be with me all my life, and afterwards I shall live with him forever, forever in his home. Because the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything that I need. He leads me rest in meadows green and teaches me beside a quiet stream. He keeps on giving life to me and helps me to do what honors him the most, even in a valley of death, I will give. Excuse me 1 second. Can we start over? Yeah. I apologize. Because the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything that I need. He leads me in the meadows green and leads me beside a quiet stream. He keeps on giving life to me and helps me to do what honors him. Even when I'm walking in the valley of death, I will never be afraid, for lies goes close to me, guarding, guiding all the way. He spreads a feast before me in the presence of my enemies. He welcomes me as his special guest with blessings overflowing. His goodness and unfailing love shall be with me all of my life, and afterwards I shall live with him forever, forever, in his home forever. Now, in my real life, I see people with medical issues. I'm an endocrinologist. And when I was in training in Detroit, my Spanish came handy, and some people would ask me to translate for them. And one of these doctors was Dr. Gupta from India. You know exactly who she is. Well, half the country is called Gupta. The other half is Patel. So her identity is safe. And she asked me, well, you know what? I have this guy. I know you're off duty. I know you're going home. But can you please help me translate? He doesn't speak any English. So I said, fine. I went. I'm trying to translate. So I get to the bed and I say, well, señor tal y cual, Mr. So and so, soy Dr. Victorina. I'm Dr. Victorina. I'm here to translate for you, porque usted no habla inglés y ella no habla español. I'm here to translate because you don't speak English, she doesn't speak Spanish. And the patient, with some load of alcohol, looks at me and he says, no speakish English. I said, I know. I'm speaking Spanish to you. He grabs his friend and he says, tell him, I don't speak English. I move his face. I said, look at my lips. This is Spanish. Le estoy hablando en español. And he does, although he was drunk, he does what we do when we are sober. He tries to explain to me in very, very slow English what people do, right? I speakish no English. I'm like, but I'm speaking Spanish to you. This is Spanish. So after what seems to be like an eternity, it finally gets through that, hey, I've got your back. I'm speaking your language. And I remember clearly, after he finally understood, look, yeah, this guy is speaking Spanish. He goes like, wait a second. Black guy, Detroit, Spanish, doesn't make any sense. Are you from Cuba? I'm from Curacao. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be arguing with you for the next 5-10 minutes the difference between Curacao and Cuba. You couldn't even understand when I said Spanish. So I said, no. Dr. Gupta wants to know what you're here for. We're not going to go about where I'm from. We're halfway here. We are speaking the same language. Let's get this ball rolling. Well, I don't seem to be the only person with that problem. God has been trying to give us the message of love forever. And yet, we tend to not get it. You know, it's like, well, I love you. Yeah, well, let me just go fix myself. No, you come here. I love you. Yeah, but do you know anything about me? Come here, just come here, yeah. I love you. Well, you don't know what I've done. I love you. Yeah, but you know what? My culture. A second, I love you. So we then go and say, well, you know, maybe in the New Testament, but the Old Testament, it's all the same. God has been trying to tell us through our cultures, through our circumstances, that He loves us. So when that's not enough, well, you have to take other drastic measures, which is, look, why don't I just go and show you what I mean, which is what the next song is about. It's called Words of Love. It's about, as you can see, John 1 to 18. God's coming to the world to say, hey, listen, I speak your language. I've got your back. So the next song, Words of Love. In the beginning, in the garden, the love of God shone everywhere, but sin corrupted God's creation and destroyed the sweet communion we had shared. So God reached downward towards his children. He spoke through men of things to come. We heard his message and tried to follow, but we could not understand his words of love. Words of love, words of love. Words alone will not enough to make us understand. So God sent one more word, one clear and glorious word. His love shines through in the word, Jesus. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was God and was with God. He was with man and walked among us, and without him was not anything conceived. He came to show us the Father's glory. He came to show the Father's love. And we who follow and trust the Savior find the sweet communion his sin will restore. Words of love, words of love. Words alone will not enough to make us understand. So God sent one more word, one sweet and glorious word. His love was in that word. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Well, when I came to live finally in the U.S., and I always wanted to have inside dogs. So I went and I adopted 2 dogs, and her name was Freckles. She was a bunch of freckles on her face, and she needed a companion, so I adopted her brother, called him Togi. I didn't realize that when you call out loud, there's no difference between T and D, so I look like a dog owner who called his dog Doggy, which doesn't really sound good to lend any credibility to my creativity. But his name was Togi, not D. But anyway, so this guy, when he was small, we're living in Tennessee, and he runs down the hill, goes to the neighbor's yard, and you know what? There's a chance you don't come back. So I was worried. I went down with my car, parked, and I saw him. Now, I was concerned, so I called him loud, but he thought I was angry. So he did what we do many times. He hid from me. Now, the problem was that he was too young to realize that just because you can't see me doesn't mean I can't see you. So he hid behind the bushes, and his whole rump and tail was out. I keep up calling his name, and he's, quiet there thinking, I can see him. So if I can see him, then he can see me neither. Well, that didn't work for him. Now, we tend to do the same thing. Maybe you're not trying to hit your head behind bushes, but you could be overworking. You could be overeating. You could be indulging in other stuff. Anything to make sure that you don't have time to think about your own condition or sometimes go home. The next song is about Psalm 139. It's called Ride the Morning Winds. It's about the realization of the psalmist that it doesn't matter what you do. God can sail your tail. God can see your rump. You can't hide. And even though we say that many times to warn people, hey, it's good that a loving God would always be able to reach you wherever you are. So the next song, and by the way, we thank Dennis. Dennis is going to take care of the next half. I was raised in a Dutch colony, so when they told me that they don't charge for the first 5 songs, I said, well, then give me 2 pianists. No, that's not what happened, but I thought I would throw it out there. But anyway, so it talks about this being, the words, although written a long time ago, for today might sound very, very, very appropriate. A frightening place, this world of ours, the frantic place of changing powers, where no one plays familiar roles, but in these days one promise holds. I can ride from the morning winds, and you are there. I can sail the widest seas, and you are there. I can find the darkest night, and you are there. I can never be lost from you. Decisions rise that must be made. I compromise so debts are paid. It's all too much. I couldn't cope, but with your touch, I find new hope. Please search me now and know my heart. Then show me how to do my part, to walk the way you'd let me go. And if I stray, because there's always a chance you will, Lord, still I know I can ride the morning winds, and you will always be there. A frightening place, this world of ours, the frantic pace of changing powers, where no one plays familiar roles, but in these days one promise hold. I can ride the morning winds, and you are there. I can sail the widest seas, and you are there. I can find the darkest night, and you are there. Oh Lord, I can never be lost from you. Decisions rise that must be made. I compromise so debts are paid. It's all too much, I couldn't cope, but with your touch I find new hope. I can ride the morning winds, and you you are there. I can sail the widest seas, and you are there. I can find the darkest nights, and you are there. Oh Lord, I can never be lost from you. Please search me now and know my heart, then show me how to do my part, to walk the way you'd let me go. And if I stray, Lord, still I know I can ride the morning winds, and you are there. I can sail the widest seas, and you are there. I can find the darkest nights, and you are there. Oh Lord, I can never be lost from I also lived in the country of Mexico. It's a very Catholic country, and nothing wrong with that. But I learned Catholic jokes. One of those is about a guy, or if you want equality, a woman, who goes every day to church and prays to the saint that, please, I need money, help me win the lottery. Goes again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And after some time, this person goes and begs the saint, please, can I please win the lottery? The saint starts crying, and he hears a voice saying, my child, won't you just buy a ticket? There's stuff you got to do, right? You can have as much faith as you want, but hey, listen, there's stuff you got to do. So the next song is If My People Will Pray. Well, if you are in my age bracket, you know this song. So if you want to appear younger, then do as if you don't. Right? It's based on True Chronicles 7:14, when God says, you know what? If my people, those people called by my name, I'm not talking about those who don't believe, I'm talking about those who call themselves by my name. They will just humble themselves and pray, I will do stuff for them. They just have to humble themselves and pray, that's all. And for us, it sounds the same. There are things we got to do. You got to take the pride away. You got to look at yourself and pray. So, if my people will pray. If my people which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray. If my people, which are called by my name, shall seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, then will I hear from heaven, then will I hear and will forgive their sins. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, I will forgive their sin. I will forgive their sin. I will forgive their sin and heal their land. So, yesterday, I was at a store, and I was supposed to press debit card. I pressed credit, so I canceled it. And the gentleman said, well, the machine sometimes doesn't work well. I said, it's not the machine, it's me. I made a mistake. This is the first mistake I ever made in my life. Up to now, my life has been perfect. He amused me. He asked, is that so? I said, yeah. This is the very first mistake I ever made in my life. Of course, it was a joke. But anyway, for those of you who are going to take it seriously, well, it was a joke. I've made another mistake. But we're not talking about that, how many mistakes we made. So the next song is after somebody made a huge, astronomical blunder. This man could have gone down in history as everything God can do through us. He slayed a giant. He protected Israel. He was a musician, good looking. I'm tempted to say he was maybe bald, but maybe another day. I mean, Brother David had it going. And then one day, when he was not doing what he was supposed to do, he was supposed to be at the front lines, guiding his army, he then talked himself into committing an atrocious crime. Now, not our sins are crimes. Like all crimes are. In a just society, all crimes are missing the mark. And in my mind, I substitute the word sin with missing the mark. You see, the word sin in the Bible comes from an archery term. It means you miss the mark. When you understand that every time you sin, you just missed the mark of what the type of human being God designed you to be, it has, in my view, a way to bring compassion. When you see somebody else miss the mark, you don't criticize them, you just feel compassion because they could have been what God created them to be. So this man committed what we call it's not a mistake. He did something that he knew was wrong from the beginning. I'm having an Alzheimer's moment, so those of you who are theologians, we call this a presumptuous sin, right? So in today's world, anytime you do something, doesn't matter how bad it is, you go like, nobody's perfect. Hey, but there's a difference between, I left my keys and, I murdered somebody on purpose because I didn't like them. So, but even after that, so when he repented, the following song is based on him asking God to restore the relationship he has lost. It's called Restore the Joy. It's based on Psalms 51, 10 to 13. Once I had everything, all the joy life could bring. Each day I lived, I yearned to talk with you, loving you, loving you. My faith was firm and strong, learning right, fearing wrong. But now love's not the way it used to be. Something's changed inside of me. Restore to me the joy of my salvation. Restore to me the joy of each new day. Give me back the love that I once had for you, and never, ever used to speak your words through my lips, your voice was heard. There were so many one who came my way, I could help find a way. But now my words are cold, joy is gone, love is old, and all because I try to live alone. Bring me back, take me home, restore to me the joy of my salvation. Restore to me the joy of each new day. Give me back the joy that I once had in you, and never, ever let me slip away. Jesus, how I need you every day. Our next song, it's based on 1 Corinthians 15, 51 to 55. The title of the song is Changed. Everybody wants change. Tall people, when they're growing up, they tend to curve their back because they don't want to be out of sync with the other folks. Short people, well, I didn't need to tell you that. They're dangerous because they want to defend themselves against the big ones in the world. In the United States, a lot of people are dragged to the doctor because they think they have growth hormone deficiency, so they want to be big. In the Netherlands, where for the first time in my life, I felt like a midget. All these people were taller than me. Not all, but when they were, they were. You can, some of these kids actually go and they go to the physician to have their growth plates drilled into so they don't grow to be so tall. And I'm thinking, I will just learn basketball. Nobody's happy with what they are. You know, I mean, if people were happy with what they had, the whole beauty industry would go into the toilet. People with straight hair wanted curly. People with curly hair wanted straight. People who are blonde don't want to look blonde anymore. People who have black hair, they make it purple, whatever. I mean, people want change. The next song is talking about the change we hope for. Is the change where we can no longer have to be limited by our sinful condition. It's a song that describes the coming of Christ, and it's called Changed. In only a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the sound of the trumpet, we shall all see him come. In only a moment, we'll behold him in the sky, and the Lord himself will quickly take us home. The chorus says, we shall all be changed, caught up in heaven in a cloud of glory. We shall all be changed, transformed to victory. Death, where is thy sting? God conquered death and hell. We shall all be changed. We shall all be changed. In only a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the sound of the trumpet, we shall see him come. In only a moment, we behold him in the sky, and the Lord himself will quickly take us home. We shall all be changed, caught up to heaven in a cloud of glory. We shall all be changed, transformed to victory. Death, where is thy sting? God conquered death and hell. We shall all be changed. We shall all be changed. In only a moment, Jesus Christ will call us home. With the voice of the angel and the trump of God, in only a moment, we'll be raised from earth to heaven, and we will live in peace with the Lord. We shall all be changed, up to heaven in a cloud of glory. We shall all be changed, transformed to victory. Death, where is thy sting? God conquered death and hell. We shall all be changed. We shall all be changed. Death, where is thy sting? God conquered death and hell. We shall all be changed. We shall all be changed. Well, every good thing comes to an end. Every bad thing too. Depends on your experience. So, our next song, for now the last one, is about the holy city. Now, I didn't choose this because of some political agenda. The reality is that Jerusalem is one of the very few so coveted places on the planet. It was supposed to be a city where God's love would show, where everybody was welcome, where everybody could learn about God's love for humanity. But I don't know about you, but it seems to me that most of history, people, one folk or another, have spent their energies trying to get people out of Jerusalem. The Syrians did, the Babylonians did. Then once Christianity went mainstream, they did. And now we have folks still fighting over that city. When I was in the Netherlands 2 years ago, I was at the academic medical center observing there with the physicians in my specialty. And one of the patients I met had a blood condition that I knew there were 3 places on the planet where this type of gene appears. It's called G6PD deficiency. So when you have this deficiency, your blood cells, they break easier when you put them under stress. So there's certain medicines you can give them. So in America, the most common is, in Afro-Americans and black folks. It's called A-, at least that's how we used to call it. And I'm sorry, Dr. Flores. We have Dr. Flores here visiting. She thought she would not hear anything about medicine, and here I am, but it's in a different vein. But anyway, I knew there's another one that's called in the Mediterranean. And those folks, their blood cells break also if they eat fava beans, but I've never met somebody with that. And then there's a Cantonese one, which actually understand what's the word. So I asked her, I said, what's your background? She says, I'm from Israel. I said, yeah, but it's not a background. And unlike what my mother told me, when you ask somebody a question and they don't want to answer, don't keep on pushing. Well, medical school hit that out of me. So I asked her again. I said, that's not a background. What's your background? She said, I live in Palestine. I said, that's a geographic location. What's your background? She said, I'm Iraqi. And through her eyes, it was sad that in today's world, you have to be so careful with answering a simple question out of all the other implications folks would attach to it. My simple question was, are you one of these people with the Mediterranean variety? That's what I was after. And yet, she had to go and be careful not to give an answer that would have implications for political reasons. I'm happy that as Christians, what we look forward to is a Jerusalem where the doors are going to be open, where people are not going to be fighting to keep folks out of Jerusalem, but where the opposite is true, that we are invited to get there. And so this is a very well-known song. The title is the Holy City. It takes us through I don't know if you have not had a chance to understand the lyrics. It actually takes us from glorious Jerusalem when it was built. Then it takes us to Jerusalem during Christ's days when he was sacrificed. And then at the end, we see Jerusalem as a heavenly Jerusalem.
Last night I lay a-sleeping, there came a dream so fair. I stood in old Jerusalem beside the temple there. I heard from children singing, and ever as they sang, methought the voice of angels from heaven answered. Without the voice of angels from heaven answered. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to your King. And then methought my dream was changed, the streets no longer rang. Hushed were the glad hosannas, the little children sang. The sun grew dark with mystery, the morn was cold and chill, as the shadows of a cross arose upon a lonely hill, as the shadow of a cross arose upon a lonely hill. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to your King. And once again the scene was changed, newer there seemed to be. It was the holy city beside the tideless sea. The light of God was on its street, the gates were open wide, and all who would enter, and no one was denied. No moon or stars by night, O sun to shine by day. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, sing, for the night is soar, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore.
Well, thank you very much. You're more than welcome. Yesterday, there's something in the mind about how the mind works. And there's something called paradoxical intention. None of us can stutter on command. You try to stutter on command, you can't. If you try to be nervous on command, you can't. So one of the things that I do that is scary is I biopsy people's thyroids, and folks are, if you think about it, there's only two reasons you're going to be around somebody's neck. Our newlyweds are about to find that out. You really, really like that person, or you really, really don't like that person. So anytime somebody's going to do something around your neck, you get nervous. So ask the patient, well, how do you feel? She says, I'm very nervous. I'm supposed to say something like, oh no, you're going to be fine. But that's going to make her even more nervous. So I said, so am I. I'm nervous too. That calmed her down. I wish you had told me before you were nervous too. Things would have gotten far better. But I'm going to give you a chance to ask me for any of these songs that you would like to hear again before we part. Not everybody at the same time? No? You want to hear Holy City? Okay, and anybody wants to sing it with me? Ah. No takers? Should I point finger? Should I choose? Why don't we do this? Why don't we sing it together, the last stanza? I'm going to we can sing the last stanza. We can sing the last chorus together. You like that? Yeah? Yeah, so do we sing the whole song and then you join me in the last chorus? Or you join me in the choruses? Yeah, there's something. Yeah, you join me in the choruses. Everybody knows the choruses. So, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to your King. And then the last one is sing for the night is o'er, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. So you follow my lead. So let's do this again, Dennis. Yeah, let's just do it again. And are you going to charge me for this one? You may charge me for this.
Last night I lay asleeping, there came a dream so fair. I stood in old Jerusalem behind the temple there. I heard the children singing, and ever as they sang, methought the voice of angels from heaven answer rang. Methought the voice of angels in from heaven in answer rang. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to your King. And then methought my dream was changed, the streets no longer rang. Hushed were the glad hosannas, the little children sang. The sun grew dark with mystery, the morn was cold and chill. As the sun shall across a rose upon a hill, as a shadow of a comely cross, a rose upon a hill. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna o'er your King. And once again the scene was changed, nearer there seemed to be. It was the holy city beside the tideless sea. The light of God was on its street, the gates were open wide, and all who would might enter, and no one was denied. No need of moon or stars by night, or sun to shine by day. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, sing for the night is o'er. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Thank you.